Hi everyone, I'm BJ Muir from JesusHelpMeParent.com, and I help families just like yours to use a heart-based approach to parenting. So if you want practical parenting solutions that bring about real and lasting heart change in your child, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now. And in today's video, we're going to be looking at the second of 3 causes of sibling conflicts, selfishness. And that if we want to help our kids overcome selfishness, we need to teach helpfulness. Now, if you haven't seen some of the other videos in this series, go ahead and click on the link in the description down below. That'll take you right to the playlist. And as you're watching each video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button to like each video. It really helps. How many times in our homes and families do we hear our kids saying things like, I get the last cookie, or I get the last slice of pizza, or I get to pick first, things like that? That all comes from selfishness. Or how many times do we see kids boasting and bragging about who got the top score, who could be the best at this, who could be the best at that? You know, all this boasting, all this self-centeredness, all this envy and jealousy, it all stems from selfishness. But the reality is, that's the culture around them. How often do we see entertainment figures, sports figures, people in the media constantly bringing the attention back to self? But the Bible has something different to say. Mark chapter 10, verses 43 to 45 say, Whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, for even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve. Now that's Jesus talking there. This idea of being a servant and serving others, of being selfless and helpful, is revolutionary. And yet, those people who truly do serve others, they're the very people that we always seem to want to have around in our lives. So how do we teach our kids to be selfless, to be helpful? First, we want to help our children see this theme of service, of helping others in the Bible. Obviously, we can pick out just about any story there is about Jesus and show this theme as well. But I also think of biblical characters such as Ruth. I think about after the crucifixion, Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus and some of the women who went to prepare Jesus's body for burial. You know, there are different biblical characters throughout Scripture where we can see an excellent example of serving others. Similarly, there's examples of the opposite. You know, I think about the 2 disciples who asked to sit on Jesus's left and right when they entered into his kingdom, and how they were not looking to be helpful. They were not looking to be selfless. They were interested in themselves at that point. There are examples in both directions here that we can use to help our children see that Jesus is calling us to live a selfless, a helpful life. A second great way to teach our children to be helpful is to teach them how to listen well. You know, helpful people start out as good listeners. They know how to tune in when someone is talking. And so we want to find lots of ways to teach our children how to listen. This can come in simple, practical ways like making sure that when we have dinner at the dinner table, we don't just eat and head out, but we actually have conversation as a family. And that conversation isn't just amongst adults, but that it invites children into the conversation as well, as listeners and as contributors. We also want to do things like talk to our kids later on when we're away from the dinner table, when we're not all together, and ask them questions like, hey, did you notice what happened with your sister today? Yeah, did you hear what she said about this situation? Now, what could we do to help? We're showing our children that if we're listening to our siblings, to our parents, we're going to hear things, and that should inform us to take some action for how we can be helpful. We also want to teach our kids how to actively listen, how to be listening so you know you're going to take some action as well. For example, when there's a problem or a conflict, we want to teach active listening skills to our kids. We'll be making a video about that in the future soon. But we want to teach our kids that when someone comes to you with a problem, you want to be listening and responding to them with words that affirm what they're saying, that ask questions to help you clarify and understand, and ultimately that help you become a peacemaker in solving that problem. Active listening is important. Listening in general is important because it helps kids find out how they can help. Two other quick ways to help your kids develop their listening skills in those natural settings, like sitting around the table at dinner time, is to ask them to do one, tell me what somebody else shared about, or two, tell me if you agree with what was just shared and why, or why not. Doing that causes your kid to have to listen in, and giving them the heads up that you're going to do this ahead of time, like saying something like, hey, when your mom's done talking about this thing she's going to share, I want to know what you think about it. I'm going to ask you if you agree with what she said or disagree and why you think so. Giving them that heads up will really help them tune in at that time. Another great way to help your child grow in being helpful is to do helpful acts as a family. Whether that's everyone helps out to rake the leaves in the backyard, or everyone goes over to grandma's to help decorate for the holidays, whatever it might be, just find ways to act together that help. It could even just be cleaning up the dinner table. And a little saying that goes around in our house, no one leaves the kitchen till the kitchen is clean. Our kids here can say that without anyone saying a word. They know you're expected to help before you leave the kitchen. No one leaves the kitchen till the kitchen is clean. So you better learn how to be helpful, because we're going to be here a while if you don't. But there's also a really fun new thing that's happened in recent years. Board games are known for being highly competitive, but there's been a new twist lately in the board game industry to create cooperation games or cooperative games, where instead of playing against each other, you actually need to play together and work together in order to accomplish a goal in the game. You know, if you just go and quickly search on the internet cooperative games, you're going to find a whole bunch of ideas. Playing some of those together as a family would be a lot of fun, and they'll be teaching your kid how to be helpful. The fourth thing we can do with our children is offer parental praise and positive feedback. The reality is that our words carry a lot of weight, and that goes for both directions. But we need to be using them a lot in the positive direction. You know, it's tough as a kid or an adult to look to be helpful at times. You know, when somebody says, I want the last dessert, and somebody else, I want it too. Who's going to be the helpful one? Who's going to be the selfless one? It means giving up dessert, or at least that last one. That's tough for a kid. So when you've got a kid who shows you that he or she's being helpful, that he or she's being selfless, you want to make sure as mom and dad that you give some great, positive, specific feedback to that kid and praise. Help them feel great about that decision. Thank them for what they did. Tell them how proud you are of them for doing something like that. You know, give them this great feedback that says, it was worth it. Look at this. I'm filling your tank with lots of good feelings and emotions with this feedback that I'm giving to you. Make sure it's genuine, because kids can sense when it's not, but give them that. It will go a long way, both with that kid and the other kids around who maybe weren't as helpful at that moment. The other thing we want to remember that we can do is, yeah, you guessed it, what I'm going to say, honor others. We want to make honor a major theme in our family, especially when sibling conflicts aren't happening. Now, you remember, honor is treating others as special, doing more than what's expected, and having a good attitude. And if that's new to you, you want to click on the Sibling Conflicts playlist on this channel. I'll put it in the card and in a link in the description down below, and learn all about honor and how honor is the solution for sibling conflicts. But we want to spend time, especially when conflicts are not that much in family life, working on honor. We want to teach our children to think about others all the time and to find ways to make those other people feel special, do more than what's expected, and to do all that with a good attitude. We want to do things, whether it's for siblings or our spouse or our neighbors. Invite your kids into helping you honor others so that they start catching a vision for this, and just invite them in. They get to see you doing it. They get to be a part of it, and they get to see the joy that happens from inside of you that you get when you honor others. I'm telling you, this whole concept of honor is a powerful way to change the dynamics in family life and to reduce sibling conflicts in family life today. So if you're not so sure where to get started though, I want you to go down to the description. You're going to see a link there for a free printable I created with several resources all around getting you started on bringing honor to your family and teaching your kids how to honor. Go ahead and grab that right now. I'd love to hear stories about how you got started with it and how it's changing your family life today. And of course, once you've grabbed that free printable, check out some of the other videos on this channel, including the ones in the playlist you found this video, because that'll help you know exactly how to bring honor into your family. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that notifications bell, because I got another video coming out next week. You're going to want to get it. So ring the bell. Also, hit the share button. Let your friends know about Jesus Help Me Parent so they can be blessed as well. So glad you tuned in this time. Can't wait to see you next time. Bye, everyone.